Beneath the grass of an ordinary field, a secret slumbered for nearly 2 millennia. What started as a weekend hobby turned into one of the most astonishing archaeological finds of our time. 50,000 Roman coins, hidden under layers of soil, waited for the day someone would finally bring them back to light. This is not just a story about metal and numbers. It's a story about history, mystery, and the human need to protect what we value most. Prepare to be transported into the moment where past and present collide. A lone metal detectorist walked across a wind-swept field, headphones on, scanning the earth with practiced sweeps. The early morning mist clung to his boots as he listened for the faintest blip of hidden metal. He'd walked this ground before, finding only rusty nails and bottle caps, yet something kept drawing him back. On this day, the detector emitted a sharp, insistent tone unlike any he'd heard before. Heart quickening, he marked the spot and knelt down to see what lay beneath. The soil was damp and heavy, but his trowel moved quickly. A glint of silver flashed, then another, and another, coins far older and cleaner than anything he had found. He rubbed away more dirt and saw the worn face of a Roman emperor staring back at him. In an instant, he knew this was no ordinary find. The sheer density of signals meant something far larger lurked below. He covered the hole, grabbed his phone, and took a trembling breath before calling for help. In the distance, the sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light over the field. Birds rose from the hedges as if startled by the excitement. The detectorist's mind raced with questions. Was this a lost cache? How many coins were down there? And most of all, who had placed them in this field centuries ago? He would soon learn he had just uncovered one of the largest Roman coin hoards ever found in the region. News of the discovery spread quickly, reaching local authorities and heritage officers by noon. Within hours, the field was cordoned off with bright tape, and the hum of distant cameras grew louder. Archaeologists arrived, eyes wide with a mix of excitement and caution. They knew that finds of this magnitude required careful handling to preserve context. The detectorist signed paperwork and stepped aside as the professionals moved in. Heavy boots trod softly on the grass while survey equipment beeped and measured. Drone footage mapped the area, capturing a digital snapshot of the untouched site. Experts spoke in hushed tones about soil layers, stratigraphy, and the importance of not disturbing the deposit. The press was kept at a distance. Only a few photographs were allowed at this early stage. Everyone knew a careless move could destroy precious information hidden in the soil. That evening, under a softening sky, a team pitched a small tent at the edge of the field. Inside, tables were set with notebooks, gloves, and sample bags. The site would be monitored overnight to deter looters or curiosity seekers. This was no longer just a hobbyist's find. It was now an archaeological mission of national importance, with a mystery to solve and a story to tell. The next morning, archaeologists began their careful excavation. Instead of digging a large hole, they opened the ground and measured squares, documenting every inch. Each trowel stroke was deliberate, each soil layer photographed and labeled. The earth revealed bits of pottery, nails, and stones alongside the coins, each piece a clue to the hoard story. Voices murmured, cameras clicked, and history slowly surfaced. The coins were found clustered within fragments of a large ceramic jar. Some coins spilled beyond the jar's rim, mixed with soil as if scattered during hurried burial. Layers of cloth impressions were visible on a few coins, hinting at how they had been wrapped or bound. Archaeologists took samples of surrounding soil to analyze pollen, moisture, and chemical traces that might explain when and why the hoard was buried. Every discovery raised new questions. As the day wore on, the first 100 coins were lifted out, cleaned lightly, and placed in numbered bags. Each coin gleamed under the sun, its inscriptions partially legible, its imagery still sharp. The team felt the weight of time in their hands. This was no single person's story now. It was an entire chapter of Roman life preserved in metal and earth. Once in the temporary lab, conservators began gently cleaning the coins with soft brushes. Under magnification, faces emerged: Trajan with his laurel crown, Hadrian with his distinctive beard, Marcus Aurelius in stoic profile. Each emperor's coin marked an era of Roman history, an echo of policies, wars, and trade. The sheer variety suggested the hoard spanned several decades of accumulation. Researchers sorted coins by mint marks, tracing them to workshops across the empire, from Gaul to the Balkans, from Italy to the eastern provinces. This was not a local stash of provincial coinage, but a cross-section of imperial currency. Such diversity hinted at a person or institution deeply involved in trade or taxation. The question grew: who owned this wealth, and why bury it here? Every evening, updates were sent to museums and universities. Scholars debated online forums and wrote preliminary reports. The public's fascination grew, and the field where the hoard lay became a quiet pilgrimage site for locals peering over the safety cordons, imagining the ancient hands that once held these coins. Historians know that hoards often coincide with periods of crisis. The Roman Empire, especially in its later centuries, faced invasions, civil wars, and plagues. In such times, wealthy individuals or officials would hide their assets underground, hoping to retrieve them later. Sometimes they succeeded. More often, death or displacement prevented their return. This hoard seemed to belong to that tragic pattern. Documents from the era mention tax collectors transporting large sums, soldiers paid in coin, and merchants stockpiling silver to hedge against inflation. Could this field have been near a lost road or a Roman villa now vanished? Could it have been a secret treasury for a garrison? Each possibility carried its own story, its own drama of survival and loss. The act of burying such wealth speaks of desperation and hope intertwined. Imagine a man or woman kneeling in that same soil centuries ago, eyes scanning the horizon, heart pounding, pressing coins into the earth before fleeing some unseen danger. The field became their vault, the earth their lock, and time their thief. Days turned into weeks as the excavation expanded. Local volunteers assisted under supervision, learning the patience of archaeology. The smell of damp soil, the glint of metal, and the quiet excitement became part of their lives. Each find, no matter how small, felt like touching the past. The archaeologists documented everything, knowing context was as precious as the coins themselves. They uncovered post holes and fragments of what might have been an outbuilding, perhaps a granary or storage shed. This supported the theory that the site had once been a hub of activity. Soil chemistry revealed traces of ash and organic material, maybe evidence of burning or hurried abandonment. The story of the hoard was no longer just about coins, but about a lost landscape. Even the detectorist returned, now part of the team rather than a lone finder. He watched professionals piece together the puzzle he had stumbled upon. His excitement mingled with humility, realizing his role in preserving, not plundering, history. In labs, coins were tested with X-ray fluorescence to determine metal composition. This revealed subtle changes in silver content across decades, evidence of inflation and imperial policy. Tiny scratches and wear patterns told of countless hands exchanging these coins in markets, barracks, and temples. Each coin became a data point in a vast economic map of the Roman world. Isotopic analysis of soil samples indicated the hoard had been buried quickly, the jar dropped into a hastily dug pit. No deliberate lining or permanent marker was found, suggesting urgency. Perhaps the person who hid it expected to return within days. That return never came, leaving the treasure as a time capsule for us to interpret. Historians and scientists collaborated, blending narrative and numbers. They reconstructed supply chains, mapped trade networks, and updated textbooks. This single field began to alter how we understand Roman Britain's or Roman Gaul's economy, depending on location. History became vivid, local, and personal. This was not the first great coin hoard, but it stood out in size and context. The Bow Street hoard in Bath had 17,500 coins. Jersey's Grouville hoard had around 70,000 coins, but mostly Celtic and Roman mixed. Each hoard tells a different story of wealth, fear, and concealment. This new find added a missing piece to the puzzle of how ordinary and extraordinary people reacted to crisis. By comparing coin types and burial methods, archaeologists can trace cultural habits. Some hoards are ritual offerings. Others are savings or emergency funds. The absence of weapons or jewelry here pointed to a strictly financial cache. This suggested a disciplined owner, perhaps an administrator rather than a warrior or priest. These parallels fascinated the public. Newspapers printed side-by-side photos of various hoards, fueling speculation about Roman banks and ancient deposit boxes. In reality, each hoard was unique, but together they illuminated patterns of human behavior across centuries. Beyond analysis lay empathy. Someone had touched each coin, counted it, perhaps whispered a prayer as they buried it. They may have left instructions with family or servants who never acted on them. Their story ended, but the coins endured. Holding them now, you feel the weight of a life once lived, a hope once held. Modern finders also felt the burden. The detectorists gave interviews about sleepless nights, dreaming of the coins, wondering about the person behind them. Archaeologists spoke of feeling guardianship, not ownership, of the past. Each artifact demanded respect. Each decision about conservation weighed heavily. In this way, the hoard became a bridge between two sets of hands separated by centuries. Past and present met in the soil in a moment of shared humanity. After months of cataloging, coins were sent to conservation labs. Under soft light, specialists stabilized metal, removed corrosion, and recorded details. Tiny inscriptions and symbols emerged, some previously unknown to numismatists. High-resolution scans created a digital archive accessible to scholars worldwide. Museums began planning exhibits. Interactive displays would let visitors dig virtually, handle replicas, and trace trade routes on large maps. The story of the hoard would reach school children, tourists, and researchers alike. It would no longer lie hidden, but shine as a public treasure. Negotiations about ownership, rewards, and land rights proceeded, guided by heritage laws. The detectorist was praised for reporting the find promptly, an example of responsible metal detecting. This positive narrative countered stories of looting and black market sales that too often accompany such discoveries. The village near the field felt the ripple effects. Hotels booked up, cafes filled with curious visitors, and local history groups organized lectures. Children played at being archaeologists, burying and finding coins in sandboxes. The hoard had transformed a quiet corner of the countryside into a living classroom of history. Local schools incorporated the find into lessons. Teachers used replica coins to teach math, history, and geography. Elders shared stories of previous finds, weaving family lore into public history. The community began to see its landscape not just as farmland, but as a palimpsest of lives past. This shared pride strengthened efforts to protect other heritage sites. People who once saw archaeology as distant or academic now felt personally invested in preserving the past. As headlines spread, myths sprouted. Some claimed the hoard was cursed. Others speculated about lost Roman legions or secret temples. Documentaries dramatized the discovery with actors and glowing treasure chests. Social media buzzed with amateur theories and conspiracy threads. Archaeologists responded with patience, clarifying facts while acknowledging mysteries. They used the attention to educate about proper methods and ethical finds. Rather than dismissing curiosity, they guided it toward appreciation of evidence and context. This interplay of myth and fact mirrored the ancient world itself, where coins bore images of gods and emperors, blending propaganda and reality. The story of the hoard became a modern myth in its own right, drawing people into history's orbit. The hoard taught archaeologists not only about Rome, but about their own discipline. It showcased the power of collaboration between amateurs and professionals, the value of digital tools, and the need for quick but careful action when major finds occur. It also reminded them that great discoveries can still happen in ordinary places. Funding agencies cited the hoard as proof of public interest in heritage. Universities planned new field schools and fellowships. Even government policy discussions referenced the find, arguing for stronger protection of archaeological sites. Thus, a single morning's beep on a metal detector rippled outward into academia, policy, and culture. The hoard became a case study in how past and present intersect in real time. Despite all analysis, many questions remain. Who exactly owned the coins? Why this field and not another? Were there markers or signs now lost to plowing and erosion? Could more deposits lie deeper or nearby, waiting to be found? Future technology might reveal traces invisible today, molecular residues of cloth bags, microfragments of wooden chests, or the fingerprints of the last person who handled the coins. Each possibility excites researchers, promising new insights with each advance. For now, mystery lingers. The hoard's silence invites imagination but also humility. History rarely gives up all its secrets, reminding us that the past is both knowable and elusive. Years from now, visitors will stand before a glass case in a museum, gazing at rows of gleaming coins. They will read a plaque about a detectorist, a field, and a discovery that changed what we know about Roman life. Children will press their hands to the glass, imagining emperors and merchants, soldiers and farmers. The field itself may return to crops, its soil healed, its secret revealed. but its story will live on in books, exhibits, and the memories of those who uncovered it. A moment of chance became a monument to curiosity, responsibility, and the enduring pull of history. This is the legacy of the hoard, not just 50,000 coins, but 50,000 connections across time, reminding us that beneath every ordinary surface lies the possibility of extraordinary discovery. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the earth and back through centuries. The story of the 50,000 Roman coins is not just about treasure. It's about the people who made them, hid them, and found them, and about our shared duty to protect and learn from the past. If you enjoyed this deep dive into hidden history, give this video a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next story waiting just beneath the surface. Until then, keep your eyes open. The ground beneath your feet may hold a story yet untold.